Tingemas. 4 highlighters, 3 post-it notes, 2 mock exams and a poetry anthology. Hello and welcome back to the Tinged as Literature channel. In today's video I'm going to be going over the 4th day of Tingemas, a series in which I go over the 15 power and conflict poems in the run-up to Christmas. In this video I'm going to be going over the poem My Last Duchess by Robert Browning. Let's first read through the poem. That's my last Duchess painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. I call that piece a wonder. Now Frau Pandolf's hands works busily a day, and there she stands. Will't please you sit and look at her? I say, Frau Pandolf by design, for never read strangers like you that picture's countenance. The depth and passion for its earnest glance, but to myself they turned, since none puts by the curtain I've drawn for you but I, and seemed as they would ask me, if they durst, how such a glance come there, so not the first, and youth to turn back and ask thus. Sir, 'twas not her husband's presence only, called thou spot of joy in the Duchess's cheek. Perhaps Frau Pandolf chanced to say, her mantle laps over my lady's wrist too much, or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half-flush that dies along her throat. Such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough for calling up that spot of joy she had at heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad, too easily impressed. She liked whatever she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. Sir, 'twas all one, my favourite at her breast, the dropping of daylight in the west, the brought of cherries some officious foal broke the orchard for her, the white mule. She rode with round the terrace, all and each would draw from her alike the approving speech, or blush at least. She thanked men, good, but thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900-year-old name with anybody's gift. Who'd stoop to blame this sort of trifling, even had you skill in speech, which I have not, to make your will quite clear to someone such as one, and say, just this or that in your disgusts me, here you miss, or there exceed the mark, and if she let herself be lessened so, nor plainly sent her wits with yours, forsooth, and made excuse, and then would be stooping, and I chose. Never to stoop, oh sir, she smiled, no doubt, whenever I passed her, but who passes without much the same smile? This grew, I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together. Then she stands as if alive, will't please you rise, we'll meet the company below, then I repeat, the Count your master's known munificence, in ample warrant, that no just presents of mine for dowry will be disallowed, though his fair daughter's self, as I avowed, at stating in my object, nay, we'll go together down, sir. Notice Neptune, through taming a seahorse, through a rarity, which claws of instruck cast in bronze for me. Now let's go through the poem. Firstly, that is a possessive pronoun that lays claim to the Duchess as a possession, and shows his control and power over her. The use of Frau Pandolf shows him to make the allusion to a famous artist of the time, and that he values the artist's name more than the painting of the Duchess itself. Since shows that his power is bracketed aside, and that it's ironic that the Duke must show off to anyone when he can rarely show the picture. Durst suggests that the speaker is to be feared, and that it's a reward and an honour to witness the painting. Called that spot implies that the speaker was jealous of the way the Duchess looked at other people and appreciated other men instead of devoting herself entirely to him. The word faint creates a sinister tone and semantically links to the words die and throat, also linking to the idea that Duke had the Duchess killed. How shall I say is a rhetorical question used to indicate that the Duke has tried to avoid jealousy and rage when the Duchess has appreciated other men instead of him. Officious fool highlights the Duke's anger about his expensive gifts, granting the same amount of joy to the Duchess as cheap gifts given to her from someone of the poor of nature. Good is a strong exclamation and also shows a change of structure, with the verse being broken up by caesura to highlight the Duke's rising anger, and how he's now losing control of his emotion. Blame ironically mocks how vain the Duke is, and that he cares more for his heritage than he did for the Duchess when she was alive, and stooping highlights that the Duke had too much dignity to ask the Duchess not to admire other men, and instead had her killed so no longer to appear jealous in front of other people. As If Alive shows that the Duchess in the painting satisfied the Duke just as much as when she was alive, and contributes to the theme of the Duchess being his possession. Dowry is the money paid by the bride's parents, and suggests that the Duke was more interested in the money than his planned future bride, and also creates a sinister tone as it suggests that he will repeat his actions with another woman. Finally, as with the start of the poem, the Duke makes another allusion to a famous artist of the time in order to show off his wealth and power, whilst also showing how money made him quickly forget about his dead wife. Now if we analyse the theme of the poem, the idea of power and conflict is shown in a way that the speaker, the Duke of Ferrer, is showing off his power and also suggesting the control he had over the Duchess's life. There is also conflict between who he presents or wants himself to be and who he really is as a character. Well, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll be bringing you Tingemas Day 5 in the next one.